What's going on, people? Episode 4 of the Reveal podcast. We're back again. It's not the full squad today, but again, we're here. We're delivering you the content that we promised every Sunday. I'm excited. My tone is a bit different today. If you're an Arsenal fan, you know why. We still got, our boys here today. We got Rue to my right. Ralph is in the building. You got Sam. I love the little hashtag NSARS on there because obviously it's. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, lot, on Twitter. Yeah, there was a point within the last week where I actually had to come off Twitter because some of the stuff I was seeing was just it was actually messing me up. I didn't know, and I think to the world at the moment, I'm not too sure if everyone even knew that this was a thing. Like obviously we'd know, some of us who've actually been to Africa, you know about police brutality, you know about not just police brutality but just the way the police kind of hound you just for having I don't know, money or being in a specific car or something stupid like that. But yeah, just big up to you for that one, and again our thoughts and prayers with everyone in Nigeria. It's a painful thing, but how's everybody feeling?
We're feeling good.
You realise cats, this is brilliant. The mood of Arsenal fans when they win a game like against United is just unbelievable. You can have the worst ever.
The curse is over. This is proof there's no such thing as football heritage, yeah? It's time. It's 14 years. The generational curses are over, fam. It's not.
We love to hear that. We love to see that. And yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later on. Obviously, we know that the Man United Arsenal game is our marquee match for today to discuss. But we're going to go straight into it. The first topic, if you've been on our Twitter, you'll see the topics. As I say, we put it on there every week just before we go live on the day, sometimes before the actual day. But our first topic today is Koulibaly, and we're going to be talking about where Koulibaly will end up. And it's a bit of a tough one. I'm not too sure where he'll end up because I mainly say that due to just the amount of he's been linked with a move away from the Serie A for years. Koulibaly's been linked with a move away to the Serie A for like maybe 3-4 years. But I'm going to start off with Sam. Obviously, as you said, as we say a lot of the time whenever we talk about African players with what we do with Reveal, we always, have had a look or had sort of come across some of these African players a lot of the time to see what they're producing in their respective leagues. So I'm just going to start off with Sam, and I think with you, I just kind of want to talk a little bit about what kind of player Koulibaly actually is. Because a lot of people know he's that sort of like a domineering centre half, but is there more, or is that all there is to it? Would you say?
Obviously, from what I've seen from Koulibaly, he's just mainly been in Champions League and Europa League over the past few years, isn't it? But he's that type of defender that's in Napoli's defense. That's like the Van Dijk in Liverpool, or you could even say the Gabriel in Arsenal now. He's that centre back. I had to throw that in there. He's that centre back that obviously the rest of the team are going to look to and be like, yeah, that's the main defender. That's the guy that we expect to get us out of trouble if we've messed up in the back. You see what I'm saying? And he's got the pace, he's got the strength. As a striker, you probably don't even want to go up against him. Do you know what I mean? And that's why he's been linked to so many different clubs. But I think for me, with this guy, I feel like it gets to a point where you're linked to so many teams for so long that it's just like, you know what, are you even going to get a move? It was like when Benzema was linked with Arsenal for so long, it just got to a point where it was just, you know what, there's just no point getting him. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's getting to that stage now where teams are looking at Koulibaly and be like, okay, yeah, he's a quality defender and we all know that, but it just seems to be going on for so long. If somebody really wanted to put the money down, I think he would have left by now.
I think in terms of Koulibaly, it's very true because I think at the moment the biggest question is, he's a brilliant centre half. Well, he's brilliant. He's very good at what he does, but the question has always been who actually can afford him. Because obviously, if Napoli are going to let him go, they're going to be asking for some serious dosh. I'm going to be coming to Rue next because I say that because obviously he's been linked with a move to Liverpool. Now, I think this would be a horrible move for Liverpool, if I'm honest with you. to add Koulibaly to that centre back pairing with him and Van Dijk. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But what do you think? Do you think this is someone that, as Liverpool as a team, you actually need?
Well, I kind of think that Liverpool have turned into sort of bread and butter in Champions League group stages with Napoli. We seem to have come across them quite a lot the last 2-3 seasons, so we know what he's capable of because we've played against him, 4 times now, I think. He seems to be a bit more of an aggressive type that I don't think we necessarily want or need, but I still think that given our situation, I mean, it was criminal for us to sell Lovren in the summer, because now with our situation, we're having to look at which academy lad can slot in, or we've had to give Nat Phillips a go. We haven't played. I think we played him once in a cup game last season or something. Fair enough, he turned out to be absolutely outstanding yesterday, but I think it's been going on for ages as to who are Liverpool going to buy in as decent cover, because Matip seems to be made of glass. Gomez can be a bit on and off with some weeks, but I think that getting someone like Koulibaly on board, it seems very, very different to what we kind of want from a centre-back. But at the same time, I'm not going to rule out the fact that he is a world-class player and could easily give our other centre-backs a good bit of competition for a place in the team.
It's very true. And I can understand, with, let's say, at this present moment in time where a Van Dijk, for instance, is injured, I'm sure Liverpool at the very present moment in time would love a player like Koulibaly, because it's a bit of a sort of insurance policy, if you will. But for me, this is where the problem lies, because if Liverpool do go for a player like Koulibaly, having, for me, the thing I like about the Liverpool defense is a lot of the time, kind of see this in Ultimate Team as well. By no way am I comparing this to real football to a video game, of course. But a lot of the time, you'll find that if you play a big domineering centre back, you normally play a much more nimble, much more agile centre back next to him. Because you've got Van Dijk, who's more of he is a very clean footballer, as we've seen week in, week out, but he can sort of like get down and do the dirty work and become that kind of brute that you need at the centre back position. And often you see them play him with someone like Joe Gomez, for instance. Now let's say Koulibaly does get added to the Liverpool squad, which I highly doubt would happen anyway. And now you've got 2 brutes at centre back. Does that kind of, because obviously Gomez, him being a lot more mobile and a lot faster than Van Dijk, would add something. And for me, I just feel like having those 2, it would be a massive sort of like I don't know. I feel like if you take away your agile centre back, you're taking something away. Do you get what I mean? Because Koulibaly, I'll be honest with you, he's not the cleanest of passers. He's not an amazing passer. He's not very good with taking the ball and driving out into centre midfield or anything like that. He just gets down and does the dirty work, really. And I kind of feel like that could be a problem. But I'm going to go to Ralph next. I'm not too sure if you agree with anything I've said, but for you, Koulibaly, let's just take him in this instance anyway within the Liverpool team. Do you think he would be a good fit?
Yeah, man. He's, from what I've seen from him, obviously I'm not too familiar with Italian football, but you can never have enough good players. As long as you can get them to gel and work well with the team, I don't see it being a problem. Because your example you gave, like say like Rio Ferdinand and Vidic, I would personally, I'd class them both as brutes in it, and it's worked. So I just think it's about the relationship between the 2, how they can sort of work together. So I wouldn't think it would be much of a problem having someone like that at Liverpool, to be fair. I think just if a player is good enough, he can play football.
I think it's a fair point you made there with Rio Ferdinand and Vidic. I was just going to ask though. I totally agree with that, because obviously both of them, I can't lie to you, they were both, if you think about Rio Ferdinand, Vidic, John Terry, they were all that similar style of defender who just kind of just get down and do the dirty work. But one might argue that perhaps that style of football has maybe faded out. Do you get what I mean? Like nowadays you've got centre backs who are more They want centre backs to have like a better passing game, someone who can spray the ball here, there, and everywhere. You got to be better with your feet nowadays as well. That kind of comes into play. Do you agree?
Do you know that's it? What I was gonna say is, has that faded out, or has that type of player just faded out? But then in saying that, I could also say, maybe that type of player has faded out because the game has evolved. But I'm not too sure. Do you get what I'm saying?
I don't know if anyone else wants to take that after Ralph anyway when you finish.
But I think just being able to play forward, I think we need to give Koulibaly more credit because he's a professional footballer. So, those are the basics they should be doing and should be able to do. So it shouldn't be a question of can you get the ball 2 touches, control it, and then find a man's feet. But everything can be worked on in training. Obviously, you can't teach a dog new tricks, but I feel like everything could be worked on. There's room for improvement for everybody. So there might be some qualities Van Dijk, or maybe not Van Dijk, but there might be some qualities another centre back doesn't have that they can then work on. There's always something to progress with. But I think Koulibaly would be a good fit. I think he'll start in majority of teams in the world, regardless of his attributes. Because there's always room for improvement. To be fair.
Agreed. Go on, Sam. You were gonna.
Rue go. I think Rue was gonna say.
Go on, Rue. Then.
I just think that with what we've got with Van Dijk, we've probably got the best sort of all-round centre-back that we've ever had. So when we sort of look at the way Liverpool are with their sort of passing game, I think we look at what Koulibaly can do and we're kind of a bit sort of hesitant to get it, because it is good as it is to have sort of aggressive sort of centre-back who can defend well. I think our game, like Ralph sort of said, everything has kind of evolved in a sense. And I think with the way that Liverpool's game is, I don't think it's quite 100% what we're looking for. So I think as good as he would be, it is a bit sort of a mismatch for what I think Jurgen is expecting his centre-back to do. But at the same time, with the situation we've got with players dropping like flies with injuries, I think we'll take anyone at the minute at this rate, as long as there's a decent. If he's going to be much over 50 mil, I think Liverpool would drop out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But I think that's even the reason we're seeing Liverpool now conceding more goals, because in that back four, who can actually defend, like properly defend? For me, it's literally Van Dijk. The other, I'd fancy myself one-on-one against Trent. I'm not even joking. If I'm ready, I'm smile on my.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
It seems. I think with Trent as well, it just seems like
the element of being able to defend is being forgotten. I don't like it. It's like everything's just focused on going forward, bombing forward. What can you bring going forward? Because you can't be conceding goals then say, as long as we outscore the other team, like that's not sustainable. So I think like someone that's solid, like all about defending, someone that's all about defending, that's all about you, like you can never go wrong regardless of the team. But obviously that's just me, innit?
No, yeah, I definitely think I have to agree with that, because it's like it's not even just with the defenders, bro. Like people are asking goalkeepers to now have a good passing game and be able to drive the ball.
The evolution of the game. The game's changed.
Yeah, like, it's evolved a lot. But to be fair, like when I picture it in my head, Van Dijk and Koulibaly, I'm like, that's a rough player, man. That could but I wouldn't rule it out because they're both quality. And like Ralph was saying, there's room for improvement. You never know what's going to be like in training. You might want him to do something different and it might actually work. So I wouldn't rule out the pairing, but on paper, it doesn't seem too good.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking and imagining Paul Robinson playing out from the back. Back in the day with England, players like that playing out.
Nice.
Absolute disaster. But it's football now is a completely different game. And I do agree that there are some aspects of the game that is dying out because you now require like centre backs to do a lot more. But in terms of Koulibaly himself, he's been linked with not just Liverpool, Chelsea, which I honestly think would probably be a much better outfit for him mainly because Chelsea at the moment lack heavily in that defensive department. So I think a player like Koulibaly would help quite a lot. Yeah, and teams in and around the top six, if you will. Man United as well. After their performance today.
Well, what about someone like Barcelona? You don't see him fitting in.
I suppose it's a question. It's a question.
Good point.
Do you see him fitting in at Barcelona?
Because I know they like playing out, but I mean,
Barcelona have lacked. They don't literally. I think we now need to see a new style of Barcelona because I think it's kind of evident that Barcelona team of old where you had PK, and I don't know, like back in the day with PK and Puyol and players like that, sort of like just orchestrating things from the back.
About defending someone that was.
Yeah, they can't really
proper defender.
Yeah, he was a proper centre back, but they can't really
buy a lot of African players. Just saying,
they can't really. Yeah, it's a completely different outfit for them now. But no, I can understand what you mean because they do need a lot more stability as a unit defensively, Barcelona. But then the only thing about Barcelona as well that they love to do is they love to push their defense up whenever they're attacking. A lot of the time you see PK running in and around their strikers position. Sometimes you wonder what the hell he's doing. But they just play like obviously the game has changed for them. But yeah, in terms of Koulibaly, honestly speaking, as Raul said, I do fully agree that if you look at any of the top six, I think he would actually walk into any one of those teams.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of time to see where he ends up. City as well is another possibility. I'm not too sure if that's going to be true anyway. But yeah, we move on to and before we move on, as we always say, just be sure to comment and subscribe. If you haven't already, we deliver this content every single week. We love to hear what you think as well. Be sure to just let us know your thoughts in the comment section. And as we always say, if you agree with anything that anyone has said, or sometimes I say that if you think we're speaking rubbish and you think we're talking complete and utter toss, let us know as well.
And it will never be me in it. It will never be me.
But yeah, let's move on to the next topic, which is one that I'm really excited about because he's a player that I love, if I'm honest with you, which is Raul Jimenez of Wolverhampton Wanderers. For me, I love him so much because I think he is a proper striker, and I haven't in the Premier League currently right now. You've got strikers that offer something, but I don't know of anyone else that I would say that this guy is a proper out and out striker. And I say out and out. When I say out and out, I mean all round. When it comes to strength. When it comes to being nimble in the box, can get away from defenders. When it comes to shooting, when it comes to one-on-ones or heading, or a couple of days ago he scored a 25-yard screamer from outside the box out of nothing. He is a proper striker. In terms of his statistics, anyway, in the Premier League, out of 83 appearances, he scored 34 goals. And out of those 34 goals, which this is one thing that I found interesting. He's had 35 wins with Wolves. So 83 appearances, 34 goals, and 35 wins. So if you kind of match that, it seems as though if you put it in and around the same sort of like bracket and try and condense it a little bit, it seems as though he scored in almost 90 or 95% of the games that Wolves have won. So for me, I think he is a proper striker. But I really wanted to discuss this guy because I wanted to know if anyone actually kind of shared the same thoughts as me and probably other Wolves fans and just other fans in general who may definitely like him. And I want to start with Rue first. First of all, not what do you know about him, but do you like him? Do you think he's a proper striker, or what do you think about the player in general?
I do. I've really, really enjoyed watching sort of Wolves sort of grow and evolve the last couple of seasons. But seeing some of the individual moves that come out of that team, I've always really quite liked the way he sort of plays. And I think you've hit the nail on the head, to be honest. There's every single aspect he could possibly do of his game seems to be properly up there. When I was thinking of any name that could possibly challenge it, I wondered if saying Jamie Vardy. Obviously, he finished with Golden Boot last season, but then with this game, I don't really feel like he offers quite as much as Jimenez. But I think, given when you look at every other sort of team in the league at the minute, I can't really think of any number 9 that comes. I mean, I've been supporting a team that's been stabbed left, right, and centre with jokes about, Firmino's a defensive 9. It's painful with that one, but then it does make me wonder when I watch games with Jimenez, thinking what it would have been like if our team had had a 9 like that, and then adding that to the firepower of people like Salah Mane. You know, every team needs a serial striker like Jimenez, and it's just such a treat to finally have someone who can literally it can just be any aspect of his game. You call upon it, and he'll excel.
Fully agreed there. And for me, obviously, with the team he plays for as well, by no stretch of the imagination are Wolves. Like I always say, Wolves are a great team. They've evolved and done so much more than they used to, but they're not, a top class team. Let's have it right. They're not up there. And it just kind of gets me wondering what he could actually do in a side like Liverpool. Or I just kind of wanted to go to Sam next. Do you agree with that, or do you think he's probably better off just staying here?
Nah, yeah, it's tight because obviously when you look at that Wolves team, you don't really see them winning big trophies anytime soon. And obviously they always say like a footballer's career is very, very short. So of course, if a big team comes, you're gonna be like, yeah, you know what, maybe it's time for me to make my move. Like even so far this season, Wolves haven't necessarily been as strong as they were last season. So you kind of don't know where things are gonna go. But obviously as a player, I think if you're comfortable in a team, you feel like you're scoring goals, you feel like you're making a name for yourself, you're gonna obviously want to stay familiar with the style of play, your teammates and everything. You love the club, so you're gonna just probably end up staying. But I think if an opportunity for him does come to leave, like by all means try and take it, because at the end of the day in this game you've got to take risks. But regarding the question though, it's I think he's quality and he offers a lot, but when we're talking about best all-round striker, I feel like we got to put Harry Kane in that conversation as well. I feel like on form, that guy is, bro. He's a lot. He does a lot. I feel like Harry Kane's got to be in that conversation.
So we're talking in terms of style of basically different ways of finishing outside the box, inside the box. I think I agree. You got to put Harry Kane in that position. The only reason I say that now is because I'm thinking to myself, let's have it right again. Harry Kane is playing in a much better side than this guy.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Harry Kane is playing with much better players than Jimenez. And he's producing numbers like this in a mid-table team, if we're honest with ourselves. So had Jimenez been playing for, had he been playing for, as we say, like Liverpool, he's been linked with Man United, and I can't lie to you, United could do with someone like this, if I'm honest with you. But
I think him going into that Liverpool side would be probably good.
Yeah, because Liverpool lacked a striker for a long time.
Yeah, because I think he could even play the role that Firmino plays and score goals. So I definitely think him fitting in there, that would be a good move.
I agree with that. And again, with the Kane,
Firmino play.
CF.
False nine,
CF.
But yeah, I'm gonna go to Ralph next. I'm sure you've probably.
I'll be real, yeah.
Bro.
I've been sleeping on Jimenez, innit? I've been sleeping. Even though he was doing those kind of numbers. I just didn't even know he was doing those kind of numbers. That's crazy. He's not. You know, there's players that play for lower teams that they score goals here and there. The only one I really take notice of is like, say, Danny Ings. But Jimenez, I've been sleeping.
English, they talk about
you lot have been sleeping on him too. Because
I definitely have not been sleeping.
How many times is he in any of you, man? Is he in any of you lot's fantasy team?
He's not.
He's not.
That's only because I feel like there's other players that will get more goals in the season. Do you know what I mean? Because like Kirk was saying, he doesn't necessarily play for the best of teams.
Given the title, best all round, like given that, even the question, if you could even question, like, one of the best all round in the league. Yeah, why is it? Come on, man, you're sleeping. We're all sleeping.
I think we bought. This is what I'm saying. we've brought Kane into the argument, which is true. But as I
it's
I
not
made
even
the
an
point
argument
earlier,
though, because Kane is better.
okay, not an argument,
All
but it just put him into the umbrella, if you will. So we brought him into the conversation.
Right, say no.
But as I said, he's brought it. Kane plays for a much better side. So at this present moment in time, for me, let's say take Kane out of the umbrella now. Who else are you adding in terms of when we talk about all-round game?
All round.
Jamie Vardy's a brilliant striker. I can't lie to you.
Yeah, but he's not all-round.
But yeah, he's when it comes to other things, he's not the type of person that will body a man off the ball and go and score a goal or anything like that. But he is a brilliant striker. But I'm talking about someone who can do it all. And I say that because I've seen this guy do it all against teams like Manchester United mainly. I remember a couple of seasons ago, he used to terrorize teams like United. Arsenal as well.
It would be interesting.
I feel like maybe in a couple.
It'd be interesting to see him in a side that creates like a crazy amount of chances. A side of way better players. Like I'm not taking anything away from him, but I've just I might see him score every weekend, but I just won't clock because he's playing for Wolves.
Yeah.
But like that's why I say I've been sleeping. I didn't know he was doing those type of numbers. Scary. I play for Wolves.
It's a point, and to be honest, most of his game, the thing that helps him the most is that big man down the right hand side, which is Adama Traore. Unfortunately for Traore himself, he hasn't really got much of an end product. But when it comes to crosses, he has got a lot of quality. When it comes to crosses, when it comes to the quality of runs that he can make, I always say his fast twitch 5 is like the fastest, if I'm honest, because the guy's turn of pace is ridiculous. But yeah,
I think we're downplaying Wolves a bit. They're a good team. They're a very good team.
They're a good team.
When did they finish last season?
They might have finished like 7. Let me double check that.
Yeah, have a look at that. They were definitely
out. Are they in Europe this season?
No, they're out. So
they're out of it.
Yeah,
they didn't qualify for any European competition.
Arsenal were 8th. Arsenal were 8th last season.
Oh god, did they?
Wolves finished 7th.
They finished on top of us, ironically. But this is what I'm saying. Like,
qualify for any European football.
Nah, but obviously Arsenal they cup in it, so
they're a mid-table side. They are a mid-table side. If I'm honest with you, Wolves, I don't think they have the quality to go 38 games and sort of like push for top 4. I don't really think especially if the league is actually hotting up and everyone's firing and everyone's doing well. Don't think they have the.
At the same time, though, you have to consider they were playing in the Europa League last season and they got knocked out in the quarterfinals or the semis. Quarters
against Valencia, right?
Yeah.
I think Sevilla knocked them out. Right?
Sevilla knocked them out, in the quarters, I think it was. But either way, they were in the late stages of that competition. And like,
so they eventually got beaten by
on their bench gets to anyone's team.
What was that, Ralph?
Wait, so they eventually got beaten by the eventual winners of the competition.
Yeah.
And
it was a very narrow victory as well.
I think I'm playing. Maybe he should be scoring that amount of goals playing in the team like Wolves going.
I wouldn't because realistically, people go into Europe. Sometimes they do well. A team like, let's say, I remember when Leicester got into Champions League. I think after they won the league, didn't they push? They pushed a little bit as well. They get like quarterfinal or something.
Last 16.
Yeah, last 16 quarterfinal or something, and then they got knocked out. A lot of the time, I don't know what it is. I think it's just the spirit of the whole thing and being underdogs, and you just kind of go out there and just give it your all. But if I'm honest with you, I back the statement to say that I don't think Wolves, like even this season, I'm not entirely sure if they'll finish in the top 6. I don't think so. I don't know if anyone would agree with me, but I personally don't think that.
I agree because I don't
think they will. I don't think they will.
As good.
They are a good side.
They are a decent. They're a better side than they used to be. Don't get me wrong. Definitely, they're a better side than they used to be. But Jimenez, for me, even I can't lie to you, just any team, even Arsenal, I'd love him because I just think he's brilliant. And as you said, I think a lot of people are like falling asleep on the guy. Only 29 years of age as well. He has got that can get benched. If I'm honest with you, if Jimenez was on the side. I'll fully put my hands up to that because I think he offers, especially right now, if you look at Arsenal, I'm not trying to make this about Arsenal, but if you look at Arsenal and the role that they're trying to get Lacazette to play with that whole holding role, I feel like with this guy's stature and how big he is, and how physical he can be, I think he can play that role a lot better than Lacazette can. So if that's the style of play that we're trying to get for Arsenal to go forward, I think he'd be brilliant up front. I know United would want him as well. I'm not entirely sure how well Cavani's going to do, but anyway, we're going to talk about that later on. But Jimenez is only 29 years of age as well, so he's got, I think he's got a quality, 4 years maybe? 3 years. I'll give him 3 years. I think he's probably got 3 years still under his belt. Actually, 31 in 3 years. Okay, I think a bit more than that, 4. No, 28, 29 years of age.
It just all depends, innit? Because you do see the players that are like 30.
Depends on how well he looks after his body, man.
Yeah.
He's South American as well, so you got that work rate. But yeah, man, a brilliant player, and hopefully we can see a lot more from him, and he can actually go forward and do big things. So now we move on to the next topic, but I've decided that I'm actually just going to merge this with a marquee matchup segment because I don't see the point of talking about a rejuvenated Man United when that's just been blown out of the water. So the third topic was actually supposed to...
One bad result doesn't...
No,
listen.
One bad result does not make a team, man.
I had a whole picture plan. Look at that. I had a whole picture plan.
We have to like give credit to their last, is it 3 or so games at PSG? Then they beat who? Or was it a draw against Chelsea?
Leipzig.
And then they beat Leipzig.
Yeah.
And then they were the Newcastle before the PSG game, I think it was, or after. But yeah, they were the performances still.
We'll move on. Let's just move on to the marquee matchup segment right now, which is obviously the last part of the podcast, which is Man United versus Arsenal. But I'm pretty sure there is a lot to talk about. But I'm gonna start. I just want to start off by talking about what Ralph was saying about one bad game doesn't define a team. And I want to. It's true. I can back that. But I want to go to Sam first because I'm not going to say that
United have been dreadful.
They have been dreadful, but what I wanted to say was that isn't this the problem with United though? And I wanted to go to Sam first because isn't this the biggest issue that everyone's had with United? They have a few string of games, maybe 2 or 3 games where they're actually playing well. They do something amazing. I don't know, 5-0 against Leipzig. I'm not gonna throw that under the carpet and say that it was a few, because you don't beat the Champions League semi-finalists from the year previous 5-0 and say that's a fluke. They played really well. They were the better team on the day, and they absolutely destroyed them. However, isn't this the problem? They've had almost 3 years now, 3 to 4 years of Solskjaer, and they've had almost 3 to 4 years of the exact same pattern where some games they go into it, they do well, they blow teams out of the water, blah blah blah, and then there's other games where you look at today where, quite frankly, I can't lie to you, they were not in the game at all. Maybe just when the second half started. I said when the second half started. And they came out firing a little bit. They were actually taking the game to Arsenal a lot more. But I wanted to go to Sam first. Do you not think this is the problem? Do you not think this is the issue with United?
Consistency is always going to be a problem for any team, innit? Like every manager, every fan wants to see their team be consistent. But I don't know what it is with Man United because for me, on paper, they have a sick team. Like, come on, Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, like Martial. These are top players on paper. Do you know what I mean? But like after the Arsenal game, when they were doing like the post-match interviews and stuff and discussions, Roy Keane mentioned something in it, and because I think Tim Cahill was basically saying how, Ollie needs to big up the players, he needs to get them motivated for a game like that, and Roy Keane was like, it's Arsenal versus Man United. Why do you need to look to your manager for motivation? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, these players, I don't know what it is. They'll go to PSG.
They don't know football heritage.
They don't know football heritage. Because the reason why I brought that up is because I even though I'm not a United fan, I'm Ollie out. I don't think Ollie. Well, I'm Ollie in, but I don't think Ollie is good enough to take United to the next level.
You think he's a PE teacher as well, isn't it?
I don't. Well, we said that, don't we?
The manager's job. Now go on, carry on.
No, but yeah, like I don't think he's the guy that's going to take United to the next level. But he puts out a good team. He put out a good team today, and the way these guys are playing, it was like they just weren't up for it. And you have to ask yourself, how much blame are we actually going to put on the manager? Because at the end of the day, if the manager doesn't put out a good team, everyone online complains. He needs to play this person here, play this person here. He eventually does it. If they still don't get the result, who's to blame? Because these guys, they'll go to Europe, win 5-0 against RB Leipzig, get a result at PSG, come back to the league. Like Man United not winning any Premier League games at home is a joke. You tell me that 10 years ago, it's impossible. Do you see what I'm saying? There's something in the mentality of the players that is just not working when it comes to league football. I don't know what it is, but I think people need to kind of take a lot of... I mean, when you're the manager of Man United, you're obviously going to hold a lot of weight, but I think we need to start talking to the players and being like, come on, guys. Like, Pogba today, conceding that penalty.
He was playing left wing.
Do you know what I mean? Bro, like, what is that? Do you know what I mean? Like...
He was actually playing like he was sad. But this is the thing as well, because I think I was listening. Obviously, there was a lot of build up to this game, and a lot of people were kind of talking about different platforms and different people sort of giving opinions as the game or as the week was progressing. And one thing I did mention, I remember I was having a chat with my brother with Keeks as well. We were talking about this. And I said to him that me personally, I don't know if anyone else would agree with this. You could have the best players in the team. Let's take the partnership of Messi, Suarez, and Neymar when they were together. You could have amazing players in the team, but without tactics, they could look hella average. Like, if you don't apply tactics to the way they play, even with the way Messi plays, yes, Messi can take the ball and go through, 3-4 players at once. But a lot of the time, people think, to some extent, yes, obviously, if you have great players, you have to put great players on the pitch. And even as you said today, I think if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer went out there and didn't play Pogba, didn't play Bruno, didn't play certain players in the middle, I think a lot of people would have had a problem with that, saying, you have these players, why don't you play them? But a lot of the time, it comes down to balance. Like, you could have a team full of absolute trailblazers, Galacticos, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the time, you actually have to put players who might not be as, endowed or as great as a certain player to achieve a certain balance in the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he was trying to do, maybe. But playing Pogba left wing, I'm not gonna lie, I think that's a suicide.
Yeah, he didn't even go. He didn't go with like the same tactics he went with at RB Leipzig when they won 5-0.
No. I mean, they went with the same diamond formation, but it wasn't. I think you're right in that sense. It wasn't the same tactics. But Ralph, how would you put it down? Because I'm sure you looked at the game. How did they lose? What is? Because they weren't great. Let's be honest. They weren't great today at all.
It was a combination of one, like Sam said, they didn't look up for it. Thomas Partey telling them 10 minutes inside the game, you are not playing football. Man said, give me that. I said, that ball is mine. I could have sworn, I don't know if you lot saw this. He picked up the ball and wrote his name on it. 10 minutes inside the game. Are you crazy? Like, man said, you're not playing football. This is our dance floor. Like, they were whatever. The only time I felt threatened from United was like at the start of the second half, and after we just scored when they brought on Van der Beek and they changed it up a bit, and then players came on with a bit more energy. I think that was what was lacking. Just that bit of direction, that bit of taking the game to Arsenal and really trying to make something of it. Like a proper. This is one of the biggest games in English football, and they did I did not understand. I just think United just weren't. They didn't gel. It's a combination of things. Just they were moving the ball, having good spells, moving the ball here and there. Give and take.
Awesome.
But if we're talking as a whole, as a team, they did not perform together. It was very lackluster and like all over the place. No communication.
We've seen it gel. Before.
Do you know what?
And how did they now go midweek and beat a team 5-0?
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, a lot of people do say when the team plays to the back, especially United, I think I'm actually starting to back this. And I want to go to Rue next to have this conversation with him. I think I'm starting to back this, that they can't seem to break down teams when they become compact. I mean, they've been ranting and raving about how they've got this Bruno guy who's probably one of the best creative midfielders in the league right now, and he can, unlock a door that's been locked for years and blah blah blah. And he's a magician and he's this and he's that. What the hell was Fernandez today? I can't lie. I honestly cannot say I saw one thing he actually did in the
One
game
word.
that's anybody.
Yeah.
He was partying on us. I can't lie. He was done out. He was
Look, that was one of the best midfield performances from an Arsenal player in quite a long time. I think. Would you agree? Because I think Partey absolutely ruled that game.
Yeah, I ain't seen anyone control a game like that in the Arsenal shirt since Song.
Let's put some respect on Song's name. That kid Song was a baller, you know. A lot of people don't seem to remember.
He's the last person I've seen control a game like that.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. I agree with that point. I think a lot of people. I like the fact that you brought that in there because a lot of people don't see. At the time, I remember when Song was in the team. I honestly used to say he was probably one of the best African passers in the Premier League. His passing was brilliant. If you look at some of the goals Van Persie scored,
he was top three. He was top three midfielders in it. Bro, it got him a move to Barca.
That move was very weird. I can't lie. it was hella sudden. But yeah, no, it's gone, Rue. I think it's true. It's true. Carry on with your point.
I think we're being I don't know if we're being a little bit hard because I think Arsenal made a really, really good job of sort of controlling the game and having sort of they sort of ran the game very, very well. And I think they, apart from the start of the second half where Man U looked like they were trying to sort of get their way back into it, that was a much, much better showing from Arsenal at Old Trafford. I think Man United's main problem is I don't quite know what their identity is or what their best 11 is. Because I just can't quite get my head around why they've got... I don't really understand what Solskjaer is trying to do with his midfield. I don't know if he's wanting to sort of, he's got a wonderful attacking player in Pogba, but at the same time, he's also got a completely woeful mess of a player. And he's got a real headache he needs to sort with whether to, and I think he needs to start being really brutal. If you are not good enough, you need dropped, and it's as simple as that. And I think a lot of Man United fans will probably look at some of the midfielders, look at people like Pogba, and wonder what on earth you are doing in that team. And yes, he cost a lot. Yes, he's a World Cup winner. So what? He is poor, and it is all just him. I think it is part of playing him in a way he doesn't want to play, or he doesn't like, or it doesn't suit him. I think Solskjaer needs to find the best way to sort of create a setup or a formation that can just unlock the team opposite them, because there's too many good names running around in their midfield that we hear about and we know what they can do. And yet, a week in, week out, the minute we're just not getting the best out of them. Like you said, Fernandez, what genuinely was he trying today? I don't know.
Eric Cantona, apparently.
Kind of a penalty.
He's Eric Cantona, apparently. I think
it needs word. They've got the talent that can do it, but they've become one of these little EU plug sockets. They love a trip away, but they're absolutely useless. And I do not get it. But if you don't beat a PSG with Neymar and Mbappe and then ship 6 to Spurs at home. I know this season's weird. It's bizarre. We got done 7-2, and now Villa have been beaten. It's a weird season. But you do not go and put 5 on Champions League finalists and beat the runners up at home, and then come back here and limp to defeats when you've had to put in such a class effort against these top European sides. I don't get it. That's the only bit I can't work out with them.
I think I'm going to break it up a little bit quickly. Go on, Ralph. Go on.
I was going to say, whoever was talking about consistency, do you remember when, say, like Arsenal would go and do something crazy in the Champions League, and then they'd come back to the Premier League and we'll get slapped by Wigan? Something silly.
Bro.
Yeah, that
That's
time I think
that is
we're
what is
just
going on
suffering
with United.
That is
identity
legit.
That's what
complex.
is going on with United. It's so
It's
crazy
kind of like
to pinpoint, and
it's kind of like the season when Chelsea won the CL because they were dead in the league. I remember them finishing 8th or 7th that year, but in the CL, yeah, you can
I
talk
think they're
about that.
fifth.
But say that again.
I think they're 5th. No,
I think
I'll have a look at it.
you can double check that, but I just remember them being very poor in the league. Obviously, you could talk about that second leg at Barca being luck with the Torres thing, but overall in that competition, they put in a shift, and it seems like that's what's happening. I hope United don't win the Champions League this season. I can't lie. I don't want that happening because their fans won't keep quiet about it. But it just seems like that's what's happening. Go to Europe, we do our thing, and then come back to the Premier League, and we're just not winning. Like you were saying, one team was in the semi-finals of a CL last season. The other was a runners-up, and they beat them both. Do you know what I mean? Like RB Leipzig is a
United missed Martial.
Nah, man, he wouldn't have done niche with Gabriel there, but
I think it's true. To answer your question, Sam, yeah, you are right. Chelsea, in the 2011 to 2012 season, they finished 6th, 64 points. So they were dead that season. They weren't very good. So yeah, and they ended up winning a Champions League. But what I was gonna say was, I want to break down the topics. Like I've got two topics in mind that I want to talk about. But I want to go to Ralph for this one first, and then I'll come to the second topic with Sam in the next one. But the first topic is, I want to take it back to the game quickly, and discuss a bit of a comparison with Ralph. You got £80 million, as I say, an £80 million fridge in Harry Maguire, and you've got a 23 to 27 million pound centre back in Gabriel. I feel like it's a no-brainer, but having those two, like just putting them side by side at the moment, just run a little comparison for us, because it looks like United. I don't even know that £80 million who suggested that one, but whoever that suggested that one, I hope he's fired, because that is horrible business, is it not?
That's when it's put into context where you've actually seen both players play against each other and have such performances, even to the start of the season, from the start of the season until now, but more so when they've actually played against each other, and you see a performance like that from Gabriel, you just think, what on earth is going on at United? £80 million. There's people starving, kids are going hungry. You're buying Harry Maguire, bro.
that is so true.
Right,
It's not a joke.
Are you all right? I'll be so serious. 80 million. That's almost 100 million. Do you know, you could even just get Floyd to come and have a fight during half time or something, and you're playing. There's no way. It makes no sense, yeah. Man are paying, but at the same time, for someone, say if you're buying a player, the Gabriel purchase is somewhat a gamble because he hasn't played in the Premier League. That's it. But football is football at the same time. So
everywhere you play,
it's not that big of a reach. The game does not change. The football is the same, pitch is the same, the goals are the same, the amount of people on the pitch are the same. You have referees. It's just potentially the culture of the game. But I can't for the life of me. Fam, I'm just glad I'm not a United fan, because I'd be so rattled. Like, I'd be really rattled, fam. Like 80 million.
I think these
good luck getting £80 out of me paying for
their board.
Mm.
Sorry to interrupt.
And also, I heard somewhere that just United have a tendency to get finessed because clubs know they have money.
I think that's what it is, because even that Ivorian youngster they bought in the summer, I think he's at Atalanta, that could rise to 45 million. I'm like, what are you doing spending that much money on a youngster?
Was that Diallo or
yeah, I think that deal could rise to 45 million. I think it's currently around 25 to 30, could rise to 45. There's a problem up in the board, because whether you're signed for 1 million, whether you're signed for 80 million, you're playing for Man United, you're going to feel pressure. We're talking. Look at the players that have played in that shirt in the past. You're gonna feel pressure. Look at that.
How long do you need to
feel pressure
in? How long's he been there?
Straight up.
What other
And then you're
excuses are
hearing
there
that.
for it?
Do you see what I'm saying? You're hearing that this team's now bought you in for 80 million to come and solve their defensive problems, bro. I'll be sweating.
But the thing I'm thinking about here is money or no money. Like, and you can finesse me for 20 mil, you can finesse me for 40 mil, but you just finesse me for 80 mil. 80. I think that's got to be another level of stupidity.
To put it into context, to put it into context, let's just round it up and say it's 100 million in it. So that
it basically is.
so that we can really just deep the madness that's going on at Carrington. Jesus, fam, have mercy.
It's another level, but looking at, I mean, at this present moment in time, like, you would be spending 80 million on a world class, just world class players in general. And if I'm honest with you, when Maguire was at Leicester, even in the England magical World Cup run, he wasn't world class. He was not world class. The entire campaign, he wasn't world class. Nobody could stand there and tell me that Maguire was world class at the time.
What did he achieve at the World Cup? I mean, he come away from the World Cup, with his hands on his hips like a bad beat chatting to gal. That's all I remember about Harry Maguire from that World Cup, man. It's a joke, man.
And do you know what's even worse as well? It's the fact that Leicester's defense got better when he left, so they got the 80 million.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I was saying that last time. Leicester must be laughing. They must be sitting there just busting a gut. 80 million is when they've managed to replenish other areas of their team. But it's weird because you look at the two, you compare the two today and the way they played, you would say that you would think Gabriel was the 80 million player, to be honest, because he was just oozing. I think United fans will see that and they'll be pissed off. They won't be very happy with themselves because that's exactly what they were wanting Maguire to be. That's exactly what they're looking for in their centre back role at the moment, and they haven't found it. But I want to go to Sam next. Again, keeping it on the game. I wanted to give you this one because El Neni and Partey, obviously two Africans. And I can't lie to you, for as long as everybody has known me, I've backed El Neni. I'm not gonna lie. I've always said he's I wouldn't say I've never said he was brilliant, but I have always said for years now, from time he came into the team. I remember even the first goal he scored against Barcelona back all those years ago when Wenger brought him in. I've always said that the thing that you'll get with El Neni is he will do the basics and he will do it right. Like, he's not, yes, at times, under other managers where football's been a bit stale, everyone's been passing sideways and passing backwards. Obviously, he's been privy to that because at the end of the day, you're playing in a team where everybody's passing sideways and backwards. You're not going to be the only one passing forward. It's clear that there's an instruction for everyone to pass sideways. But for me, I can't, I honestly cannot pinpoint a game and sit here and say there's been certain games of players like, let's say, Mustafi, Kolasinac, I can say he really messed up this game and I remember that. But I can't actually pinpoint a single game where I can say El Neni was dead. He was poor. He was like, he basically cost us the game. I can't sit here and tell you that there's been a game that the guys cost us. But looking at it now, he looks a completely new player under Arteta. And how good were both him and Partey? Because even switching it to Partey now, he's only been at the club for a couple of weeks. And this guy's literally just settled in, just slotted into that midfield role so comfortably. How good were they in the midfield today?
Bro, they were class. Because to be fair, we could talk about Partey all day, but I feel like we already know what he can produce in it. We've seen it at Atletico, and he's come to Arsenal. He's doing the same thing. But El Neni, I think we really have to focus on him because he went on loan to Besiktas last season, bro. Like, usually when a player goes on loan to a league like that, he's coming back to football. That's it. We send him there to run down his contract, and we're gonna let him go on a free. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what it was. That's what it seemed like. But the guy's come in, and he hasn't put a foot wrong since he's played his first game back.
He's getting benched for Xhaka. I mean, Xhaka's getting benched for him.
I know he's benching Xhaka, bro. And this is Xhaka's the same guy that Mikel Arteta was putting absolute trust in when he first come in. And I think the main influence on El Neni this time round is the culture of the club. And I'm not just saying that because I love Mikel and he's come in and he's doing his thing. And then he actually said this in an interview that when he came in, he saw like the vibe was different. There was a different type of motivation. Like everyone was just rearing to go. He said this in an interview after one of our wins. I'm not too sure which one it was, but you can just see like the culture of the club has completely changed. And like players are starting to realize now that, okay, I wasn't that great before. I've come back in on loan. The manager's saying, okay, I can stay. I'm not really going anywhere. I have to put in 110% because if everyone else is doing it, you can't, bro, you will get benched. If you don't play well, you will get benched. Do you understand? Like, we have an academy. There's players that can come up. If you do not play well, you will get benched. And I think Elneny's understanding that now and he's putting in a shift. I hope it all goes well for him because like people were talking about him leaving the club. And now if he plays like this in the next 2-3 years, we can actually start talking about him being one of the most influential Arsenal players in the last 10 years, bro.
I think a lot of people are
the new Gilberto Silva.
A lot of people forget.
What about that? But
not just yet. But no, of course, as you said, as time goes on, because as Ralph said earlier on, there's always room for improvement. People can always get better. And I'm not too sure what his age is. I haven't looked at it right now actually, because I would love to know what his age is. But I would presume he's 28 years of age, so he's still got time. He has still got time to really grow.
And Partey around that as well.
Yeah, Partey's 27, 28 as well. So they both of them still have time to sort of like grow into their roles. And with Elneny today, and you know, in the past as well, I remember in the Egyptian team, a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, Egypt are a one-man team. Only Mo Salah can do this. Only Mo Salah can do that." But it's as we always say, you don't play for a Premier League club, or you don't play for a club like Arsenal, you don't play for a club like Chelsea or any of the top six without being good. Like it's not like, you know, and not everyone. If you're decent, okay. If you're decent, if you're a good player, those are the only ways, or that is the only way that you'll actually make it into some of these places. But everyone watched the game, right? Firstly, before we go into this last one, everyone just watched the game. So I'm just going to go from top to bottom and just ask everyone who their man of the match was, and just you can just give a little, you know, statement to suggest that. But yeah, guys, before we go into this part, just as we said, we'd love to know your thoughts. So drop a comment, especially on these topics that we've been talking about. I mean, Maguire has been mentioned many times on our platform. And obviously on the game today as well, drop your thoughts. Who was your man of the match? Who are your standout players? Where do you think United went wrong? Where do you think Arsenal went right? Or where do you think that maybe Arsenal maybe went wrong as well? Because it was only a 1-0 victory. There were still things that could have been improved on. So let us know that. But we're about to go from top to bottom. I'm going to go to Rue first. Who would be your man of the match from Manchester United Arsenal today?
Partey, simply because I think if you literally go back to one of the old podcasts, I think I said that we all know what he can do, and we all know what he's bringing to Arsenal. And I think this was the game where, for Arsenal fans, he finally showed them what they've just spent their money on. And I think it also gave the Premier League a really good taste of what we're going to get out of an Arsenal team with him in it. And to have a game like he has done against a well-established top six side, I think he's come out head and shoulders above it. I think Aubameyang did have a really good performance. I think he was sort of. I'm careful to say this. I think he's not been as good since he signed his contract. I think
it's a fair point.
I'm to say this is facts.
It's a fair point.
I think he's off the boil a little bit since, and I don't know. I'm not quite sure, but I think he looked a lot more promising. I know he didn't score, but I think he looked well. I know he got the penalty, but he didn't score from like open play or anything like that. But he looked a bit better than he has done in recent weeks. So if I wasn't going to give him the party, I would have given him a close nudge. But yeah, I think he put in a really good shift. I think he's given Arsenal fans something to be really, really excited about. And I don't think there's a better way of doing that than against a team that you'd love to get a win over like that.
Yeah, true. So Partey is Rue's man of the match. Ralph, I'm going to go to you next. Who was your man of the match from the game today? Our marquee matchup.
Partey, followed closely by Gabriel. Yeah, I just think he set the tempo, controlled the game, broke up that United diamond, triangle, circle, whatever rubbish they was playing in the midfield. He didn't let it run in it. He was there, commanding, doing his thing, not letting them play football. He losing the ball, he's going back to win it himself.
Yeah, he won it a few times. He won it back a few times. Yeah.
It's a long time since we've signed someone and they've come and showed us that, yes, I'm a player. Also, you said where Arsenal might have gone wrong. I'll tell you where they went wrong. Get Willian out of my club, innit? Let him start. Some creativity. Some creativity. Bruv, I do not. That's disrespectful. I think Willian's a good player. But he can't be starting ahead of Pepe. We have no creativity on the wing, fam. No pace. We had no pace. What was evident, the only thing that was evident was United had more pace than us. And Pepe needed to start. He needed to play at least. Come on, like, don't get me mad. I don't even get started. That's my man of the match in the party. Let me finish there.
Nah, I feel you. I think, to be honest, me personally, I don't think Willian was that bad. I thought he actually had a pretty decent first half. Hitting the post and everything. I can understand why you made
I can hit a post.
I can understand why you made that point because I can't lie to you. I do feel like since he's arrived, he hasn't really hit the ground running. However, I put it down to he had months. I think it was. I remember reading something like he had 6-7 months where he actually wasn't playing any football through injury. And obviously, when he came, the Fulham game, everyone was playing well, and then things kind of dropped off over that. But similar to what I said, I remember I made this comment about David Luiz about a year ago when we signed him. I said he'll come good. I believe the same thing about Willian. And I remember it was funny. About 5 or 6 years ago, I made the same comment about Gino Wijnaldum to one of my friends who was asking for Wijnaldum to be removed from the Liverpool squad and blah blah blah. And I said the guy will come good because he has a lot of quality. But yeah, Sam, you were the last but not the least. Who's your man of the match for today and why?
I'm obviously stuck between two, like Ralph. I'm Partey, Gabriel, but I think for me, I'm gonna give it to Gabriel. I'm not taking anything away from Partey. He was class today, but I feel like if Gabriel went in that side, we could have lost that game. It was like if Mustafi was playing there over Gabriel, we could have lost that game. Yeah, nah. He was especially. Do you know what was weird for me as well? The fact that Gabriel started playing even better when he got booked. It was like,
yeah. Ooh, there was a moment where he looked like he was going to get
yeah, it was like one moment
when my last line of defense gets booked like 10 minutes in, shaky, fam.
Yeah, because let's be real. On paper, Man United's attack will destroy you if you give them space. But I feel like, yeah, I got to give mine to Gabriel because I genuinely feel like we wouldn't have got a result if he wasn't playing.
Well, everyone's point is fair. I'm gonna go a bit different and give my man of the match to Moneni.
Big Mo.
I honestly think for me, I saw him today in a completely different light. Something I haven't actually seen from him, if I'm honest, maybe ever. Because one of the things that impressed me today was just he was so positive. A lot of the time when he got the ball in the middle, if he won it back or if he was given the ball, he was actually the player that was driving at times at the midfield to try and create a space or anything like that. And at the end of the day as well, the one thing you'll get from Elneny is hard work, and I think he put that into play in abundance today. But again, thoroughly agree with what everyone said. I mean, Gabriel and Partey. By no stretch of the imagination am I playing anything down. I think it was a good team performance. But that's the end of
injured. Shout out Mike Dean.
Yeah, Mike Dean. Oh yeah, let's talk about the referee actually, because I'm not gonna lie. Midweek I said corruption was back.
Can I just say something?
The money they would have used to pay him, they spent on Maguire.
I'm so done.
Go on, Sam.
There was one moment in that game where we were about to do a very similar move to what we did against Liverpool in the Community Shield, and the ball hit Mike Dean.
Yeah.
I just collapsed because I said, "Oh my god!"
The space, the space was crazy.
If that game had ended level, I would have been fuming. I would have been fuming. But yeah, that's what I wanted.
It's nice to say. It's nice to see that now, whenever the ball hits the referee, they actually stop the game, because before they just used to like play on, which is pretty stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's nice to see. But anyway, guys, as we said, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Again, I will say it one more time. If you agree, let us know you agree. If you think we're talking rubbish, let us know we're talking rubbish. Let us know about the game today as well, especially who was your man of the match, who played well, who didn't, do quite as well, and any of the topics that we've talked about before. But as we said, we're coming at you every Sunday with these podcasts, with these topics. We'll have fresh new topics for you next week Sunday. We hope you can join us then. But for now, guys, everybody stay safe. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Thank you so much for watching.